Hey there, treasure hunters. Let me ask you something. Have you ever checked the bottom of your couch cushions or that old coin jar in your kitchen? You might want to after this video because one tiny, seemingly ordinary penny could be worth $1 million. Yes, you heard that right, $1 million. And it's not some ancient coin from the Roman Empire. Nope, it's a 2009 Abraham Lincoln penny without a mint mark. Stick around, because by the end of this video, you'll know exactly what to look for, how to tell if your penny is a jackpot, and why your coin collection might just fund your next vacation, or even your retirement. Alright, so here's the scoop. The 2009 Lincoln penny isn't just any penny. It was a special release to celebrate Abraham Lincoln's 200th birthday and the 100th anniversary of the Lincoln cent. That year, they produced 4 different designs on the reverse side, each telling a story about Honest Abe's life. You've got the log cabin, his early education, his political career, and the U.S. Capitol dome being completed. It's basically a penny-based biography. Now, the one you want to look out for is the no-mint mark version, which means it was minted in Philadelphia. And here's the kicker. If your penny happens to be in pristine condition, like shiny, straight out of the mint perfect, its value skyrockets. One of these bad boys was recently auctioned for over $1 million. Imagine that, turning 1 cent into a 7-figure payout. It's like winning the lottery, except way nerdier and way cooler. Let me tell you a quick story. A couple of years ago, I found a 2009 penny while cleaning out my car. I was so excited. I thought, this is it. I'm about to buy a mansion. Turns out, it had been through the washing machine at least twice, had scratches all over it, and looked like it had been stepped on during a mud run. Worth about 1 cent. But hey, now I triple-check every coin I find. Lesson learned. So how do you know if your penny is worth anything? First, look for the date, 2009. Then, check for the mint mark. If there's no mint mark under the year, congrats, you're off to a good start. Next, assess the condition. Is it shiny and flawless, or does it look like it's been chewed on by a squirrel? If it's the former, you might have a winner. And if you're really serious, consider having it professionally graded by a coin expert. By the way, these pennies are rare in mint condition because most people didn't think twice about them. They tossed them in their wallets, used them to buy gum, or, gasp, threw them in a wishing well. So if you have one that's been spared the wear and tear, you're already ahead of the game. Alright, my fellow coin enthusiasts, here's the takeaway. Start checking your pennies. That 2009 Lincoln cent without a mint mark might just be the key to your financial freedom, or at least a really great story to tell at parties. Either way, it's worth a look, right? If you found this video helpful, or if you're now frantically digging through your coin jar, hit that like button. And don't forget to subscribe for more tips on coins worth money, treasure hunting strategies, and stories about turning pocket change into life-changing cash. Who knows? Your next find could be the subject of our next video. Imagine you've just dug through an old jar of coins your grandma gave you. Or maybe you've been scouring through your loose change and BAM. You find something that could potentially make you a cool $1.2 million. Sounds like a fantasy, right? Well, believe it or not, it's not just a dream. It could be a reality if you have a 1967 Abraham Lincoln penny with no mint mark. That's right. Today we're diving into the world of the 1967 no mint mark penny and why it's turning heads, making headlines, and causing coin collectors to empty their couches in search of hidden treasures. So, grab your magnifying glass because trust me, this penny might just be worth more than you think. Alright, so first things first, let's talk about what makes the 1967 penny with no mint mark so special. Now, most of us are used to seeing mint marks on our coins, right? You know, the little D for Denver or S for San Francisco. But the 1967 penny without a mint mark? Well, that's the mystery coin, the one that didn't get the memo. You see, most pennies from 1967 were either minted in Philadelphia, Denver, or San Francisco, but this one, the elusive 1967 penny without a mint mark, is a little oddball. It's not like the others. It doesn't have that little D or S you might be looking for, and that's part of what makes it rare. There was a mistake in production, and only a few of these no mint mark pennies ended up circulating. And when I say few, I mean we're talking about a very small number of them. Just a handful. The total number in existence is so tiny that it sends collectors into a frenzy. People have scoured through jars, boxes, and even attics just hoping to find one of these bad boys. And guess what? If you happen to have one, you could be sitting on a jackpot. Now, let me hit you with the real kicker. These coins have sold for up to $1.2 million in recent years. Yeah, you heard that right. A little penny that's been hanging around in your pocket or wallet could possibly pay off your student loans, mortgage, or heck, even buy you a nice vacation, if you don't want to go full millionaire on a yacht. Okay, let me take a quick detour here for a funny personal story. A few years ago, I found a rare penny in my change. It was a 1950s penny, and I was convinced it was going to be worth a small fortune. I did what any sensible person would do. I rushed to Google, typed in the date, and the first thing that popped up was rare 1950s penny worth thousands. I nearly fell over with excitement. I ran to my local coin shop, practically sprinting there, and I'm all hyped up, ready to cash in. The shop owner takes a quick look at it, taps it against the counter a couple of times, and then says, "Well, this is a nice penny, but it's worth about 5 cents." I stood there, feeling a little deflated, but also kind of amused by my rookie mistake. Moral of the story? Always do your homework before thinking you've struck gold. And now that I'm sharing my story with you, I want to make sure you know how to tell if you've really found $1 million penny. So, how do you know if your 1967 penny with no mint mark is worth a fortune? First, it's important to get it professionally graded. You want to make sure it's in good condition and hasn't been worn down by time and use. The higher the grade, the higher the value. So, if you're sitting on a 1967 penny that's still got a sharp image of Lincoln and hasn't been through the ringer, you might have a winner on your hands. When it comes to these rarities, the condition is key. If your penny looks like it just rolled off the minting press, it'll fetch a higher price at auction. Coins that are well preserved or in near perfect condition are the ones that can reach up to that crazy $1.2 million mark. And let's not forget, it's the story behind the coin that adds value too. As with any collectible, the rarity, historical significance, and demand all play into the price. So if you've got one of these 1967 no mint mark beauties, you might want to keep it tucked away in a safe spot. Who knows? One day, it could be worth more than your entire car. So, there you have it, the 1967 Abraham Lincoln penny with no mint mark, a tiny, humble coin that's making waves in the world of numismatics. While it's not something you're likely to find every day, if you do stumble upon one, make sure you do a little happy dance, maybe even throw in a fist pump. And of course, head straight to a coin expert to see if you've hit the jackpot. Before you go, if you're really serious about becoming a coin connoisseur and staying ahead of the curve, make sure you hit that subscribe button. I've got plenty more tips, tricks, and rare coin finds coming your way. Who knows? The next one might just make you a millionaire. Thanks for hanging out with me today, and remember, when it comes to coins, always check your change. Hey there, fellow coin lovers. Quick question. How many of you have a drawer full of loose change lying around at home? Be honest. You probably think those pennies are worthless, right? Well, hold on to your hats because today, I'm about to drop a serious coin bomb on you. Did you know that one penny, just one penny, could be worth a jaw-dropping $1.3 million? Yup, you heard me right. A 1976 Abraham Lincoln penny without a mint mark is currently valued at $1.3 million. Let that sink in for a second. You might have one of these hidden in your pile of pocket change. Stick around as we dive into the details of how this unlikely penny became a gold mine, and more importantly, how you can spot valuable coins too. Alright, let's backtrack a bit here. The 1976 penny. Sounds pretty ordinary, right? I mean, it's from the year America celebrated its bicentennial, and you probably thought it was just another penny with a nice historical vibe. But, plot twist, not all 1976 pennies are created equal. There's a special one, the 1976 penny with no mint mark, and it's practically a unicorn in the coin world. This little penny is the stuff of legend, and here's why. You see, in 1976, the U.S. Mint accidentally made some pennies without placing the usual mint mark on them. Normally, you'll find a tiny D for Denver or an S for San Francisco. But a few slipped through the cracks with absolutely no mint mark. So what's the big deal? Well, because they were never supposed to exist, these pennies are super rare. So rare, in fact, that one recently sold for $1.3 million in a private sale. Talk about a nice little chunk of change. Now, you might be wondering, how can you tell if you've got one of these rare coins in your collection? Well, here's the thing. Most of us aren't lucky enough to just casually stumble upon a penny worth $1 million while walking to the mailbox. But if you've got a 1976 penny and it has no mint mark, that's step one. Check the details. Is it worn down to nothing, or is it in good condition? The better the condition, the higher the value. If your penny is looking a bit beat up, don't worry, it might still have value. Just not quite as much as one in pristine condition. But hey, I wouldn't complain about a couple $100 either. So, where do you find these coins? Well, look in your change jar, your coin collection from when you were a kid, or even check those pennies you've tossed in a drawer for the past 20 years. Who knows, you might have a literal gold mine sitting there gathering dust. And if you don't find one, don't be discouraged. There are plenty of other valuable coins out there waiting to be discovered. Keep checking your change. Here's a funny story to lighten the mood. A few months ago, I was going through a box of old coins my grandma gave me. She'd collected them for years. Basically, they were like a small treasure trove of memories and junk. I thought I had hit the jackpot when I found a 1976 penny. Of course, I was daydreaming about becoming an overnight millionaire. I inspected it like a forensic detective. Could this be the one? I thought. I even Googled it, excited, but a little skeptical. Spoiler alert, it had a mint mark. So, no $1.3 million for me. I still got a good laugh, though, because for a second, I really thought I was holding a tiny fortune. Moral of the story: check your coins, but don't get too attached to every single one. Alright, coin enthusiasts, I hope you're starting to see that checking your change isn't just for the bargain hunters at flea markets. You could be sitting on a small fortune and not even know it. Who knew a 1976 Abraham Lincoln penny without a mint mark would be worth over $1 million? Crazy, right? So, if you want to keep finding more coins worth money, or maybe you just want to know how to spot them like a pro, make sure to hit that subscribe button. Trust me, you don't want to miss out on more tips and tricks on how to turn your change jar into a treasure chest. And hey, if you've ever found a rare coin, drop a comment below and share your story. I'm sure there's someone else out there who has had a similar penny shock experience, and we'd love to hear it. What if I told you that a penny, yes, a penny, could be worth a mind-blowing $1.4 million? Sounds like something from a crazy treasure hunt, right? But no, this is real life. And it all starts with a humble 2020 mint mark Abraham Lincoln penny. Stick around, because you won't believe what happened with this little copper coin. And by the end of this video, you'll be wondering if you should go digging through your spare change jar. Let's dive in. Let's talk about this seemingly ordinary penny. It's not like there's anything particularly special about it at first glance. I mean, it's got Abraham Lincoln on it, the usual copper color, and the D mint mark that tells us it was made at the Denver Mint. But here's the kicker. There's a very specific version of this 2020 penny that has collectors losing their minds. See, in 2020, a small number of pennies were released with a minting error that made them super rare. These pennies were struck with an incorrect die that caused some of them to be off-center. And not just a little bit off-center. I'm talking really off-center. Now, these kinds of errors aren't all that rare, but the ones from 2020 D mint mark have been so scarce, so few and far between, that some of them are fetching prices that make people like me go, did I accidentally leave a $1.4 million coin in my pocket last week? Now, you might be wondering, okay, that's cool, but how do I know if my penny is worth a fortune or just worth 1 cent? Well, my friend, it's all about condition. If you've got a 2020 D penny that's off-center, and it's in good shape, like really good shape, it could be worth thousands of dollars. And if it's one of the rarest varieties with the right minting errors, you could be sitting on a $1.4 million jackpot. Yes, you heard me right, $1.4 million. And the best part is, these kinds of coins can sometimes get misidentified at first, so people end up unknowingly selling them for pocket change. Can you imagine the regret when they realize what they had? I'll tell you a little story. A few years ago, I was at a flea market, and I found a dusty old jar of coins just sitting there on a table. The guy was selling them for like $10 for the whole jar. And of course, I picked it up, no questions asked, thinking I was going to get some cool old stuff. Well, I got home, sorted through the coins, and wouldn't you know it, I found a 1916 Mercury diamond there, worth about $500. I couldn't believe it. That was just luck. But with the 2020 penny, it's not about luck. It's about knowing what you're looking for. So don't just throw your change away. I mean, if I had thrown that jar of coins away, I would have never found that dime. Imagine the horror. Okay, back to the pennies. You want to know how to check if your 2020 penny could be worth a fortune? Start by looking for the off-center error. These can be a bit tricky to spot, so here's a quick pro tip. Grab a magnifying glass or a camera on your phone and check the edges of the coin. If the design is shifted or cut off on one side, that's the sign of an off-center strike. And remember, the more extreme the error, the more valuable the coin is. It's like finding the diamond in the rough, except it's a penny. Now, it's not just about having an off-center coin. There are other varieties, too, like ones that have been struck multiple times or have extra design features. But the off-center 2020 penny? That's the holy grail for collectors right now. You could have a small fortune lying around in your pocket or at the bottom of your coin jar. I mean, $1.4 million for a penny? Who would have thought, right? If you've got a 2020 Abraham Lincoln penny, don't just let it slip through your fingers. Do yourself a favor? Take a closer look, because you never know when you'll find a coin that could change your life. Before you go running off to check all your pennies, make sure you hit that subscribe button. I'm bringing more tips, tricks, and cool stories about coins worth money, and you won't want to miss out. Trust me, you'll thank me when you find that next rare coin tucked away. Until next time, happy hunting, and remember, don't throw your change away. You might just have something priceless in your hands. Have you ever dug through your spare change or an old jar of pennies and wondered, could this little guy be worth a fortune? Well, buckle up, because today we're diving into one penny that'll blow your mind. The 1968 Mint Mark Abraham Lincoln penny. This coin could potentially be worth a whopping $1.5 million. Yeah, you heard that right. A penny could make you a millionaire. Stick around, because I'm about to share everything you need to know about this penny, what makes it so valuable, and how you might be sitting on a small fortune without even knowing it. Let's go now. Let's set the stage. Back in 1968, most people were just trying to survive the year with their hair intact, thanks to the rise of the hippie movement and all the craziness happening in the world. But while all of that was going on, the U.S. Mint was quietly pumping out millions of coins, including our penny. Now, you're probably thinking, how could a simple penny be worth anything more than a few cents? Well, let me explain. This specific penny, the 1968 Mint Mark Abraham Lincoln penny, is what's known as a rare variety. The 1968 penny was supposed to be struck with a regular copper composition, but the mint-marked coins, which were produced in San Francisco, had some unique, subtle, and not-so-subtle differences that make them incredibly sought after by collectors today. So, what makes the 1968 penny worth $1.5 million? It's all about a mistake made during production. Some of these coins were accidentally struck with a double die, which means that the engraving on the coin is slightly doubled, giving the appearance of a blurry, almost ghost-like image. This error, although subtle, makes the coin extremely rare and valuable. Now, I know what you're thinking. How do I know if I have one of these million-dollar pennies in my piggy bank? Don't worry. I've got you covered. First off, check the mint mark on your penny. It should be right under Lincoln's shoulder, and if it's an S, you're off to a good start. But that's just the beginning. The real magic happens when you check for the double die error. You'll see that the date and some of the lettering on the coin is slightly off-center. It might look like a slight shadow or doubling, but to the trained eye, or to someone with a magnifying glass, it's pretty obvious. Now, I've got a little story for you to make all this feel more relatable. A few years ago, I was cleaning out an old box of coins my grandma gave me. You know, the box that's been collecting dust for years, filled with random pennies, nickels, and dimes. The kind you never think are worth anything. Anyway, I was going through it when I found an old 1968 penny with an mint mark. I thought, hey, it's a 1968 penny. What's the worst that could happen? Turns out, nothing crazy came out of it. But it did remind me how easy it is to overlook these things. It wasn't until later that I started hearing stories of people finding rare pennies worth thousands, even millions, and I kicked myself for not taking a closer look at that coin. The lesson? Always check your change. But here's the kicker. Not every 1968 penny is going to be worth $1.5 million. The value really depends on how rare the double die error is and the condition of the coin. A well-preserved, error-free coin is worth next to nothing. But a penny that's in mint condition with that famous doubling error? That's the golden ticket. So, what's the bottom line? The 1968 Abraham Lincoln penny with a double die error could be worth a staggering $1.5 million. But don't start counting your millions just yet. Check your pennies, look for that mint mark and the telltale doubling, and you just might have a collector's dream on your hands. If you're like me, you'll probably get way too excited and start checking your old coins like you're hunting for buried treasure. Hey, it's a good habit to get into. And before I let you go, don't forget to hit that subscribe button. I've got plenty more tips and tricks coming your way on coins that could be worth a lot more than you think. Who knows? The next video could be the one that helps you find your own hidden treasure. Did you know you might be sitting on a gold mine without even knowing it? Yup, you could have a coin worth millions just hanging out in your coin jar. No, seriously. You might be looking at your change and wondering if it's worth anything, and today, we're diving into one particular coin that could make you an instant millionaire. Hold on to your hats, folks, because we're talking about the 1996 mint mark Abraham Lincoln penny, and trust me, this one is wild. Before we get into the juicy details of why this penny is worth a small fortune, make sure you hit that subscribe button because we've got tons of tips on how to make sure you're not throwing away valuable coins. Alright, let's jump into it. So, here's the deal with this 1996 mint mark penny. On the surface, it's just like any other penny you've seen. You know, small, copper-colored, with good ol' Abe Lincoln staring back at you. But wait, this is where things get interesting. This particular penny is part of a rare error, and when I say rare, I mean this coin is practically the unicorn of the penny world. It was minted in Denver, and it's got a unique flaw, a double die error that makes it worth, well, a whole lot more than you probably think. You see, most pennies you come across from 1996 are worth exactly 1 cent. But not this one. Some 1996 pennies were stamped incorrectly, and if you're lucky enough to have one of these, it can fetch up to $1.9 million. Yes, you heard me right, million with an M. Now, you might be wondering, how do I know if I've got one of these rare pennies? Well, good news. I'm here to help. The most obvious sign is that double die error. If you look closely, you'll notice that some of the numbers or letters on the coin appear to be doubled, almost like they were stamped twice. It's like an optical illusion, but in coin form. But don't get too excited just yet. Not every 1996 penny is going to be worth $1 million. The error is pretty rare, so you really need to inspect your pennies carefully. Here's a fun personal story to really drive this point home. A while ago, I was at a family barbecue, and my cousin, let's call him coin collector Carl, was showing off some of his very rare coins. As I was flipping through my wallet, I found a 1996 penny at the bottom, and I was all, hey, look, I've got one too. Carl looked at it and laughed, thinking it was just another common penny. But guess what? I got my hands on a magnifying glass and bam, there it was, the double die error. Carl was shocked, and I think a little jealous, because suddenly, I was the one with the valuable coin. Now, I'm not saying I'm about to make $1.9 million, but it definitely gave me a little thrill thinking about what it could be worth. So, how do you go about selling one of these beauties? Well, first things first, make sure your coin is in good condition. A coin that's worn out or has been handled a lot won't be worth nearly as much as one that's in pristine condition. The key to selling your 1996 penny for top dollar is proving that it's authentic and in great shape. Some people take these rare coins to professional graders who can certify their authenticity and give them a grade based on their condition. The higher the grade, the more money you're looking at, so definitely get it appraised if you think you've got a winner. Alright, I'm sure by now you're running to check your pockets, your coin jar, and maybe even under the couch cushions to see if you've got one of these rare pennies just lying around waiting to make you rich. And hey, even if you don't find one, it's always a good idea to keep an eye on your coins. You never know when that next big find could be waiting for you. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to hit that subscribe button so you can get all the insider tips on other valuable coins you might be overlooking. Trust me, there's a lot more out there just like this 1996 penny. and I'll be here to make sure you don't miss a single one. Also, drop a comment below and let me know if you've ever found a rare coin in your collection. Did you hit the jackpot, or was it just a fun find? Thanks for watching, and I'll catch you next time with more coin tips and treasure hunting advice. Keep those eyes peeled. You might just be sitting on a fortune. What if I told you that you could have a coin worth millions just sitting in your pocket or drawer right now? I know it sounds like a wild dream, but trust me, it's true. Picture this: a 2001 penny. Yep, you heard that right. Worth an eye-popping $1.8 million in today's market. No, it's not some magical gold-plated treasure. It's an Abraham Lincoln penny with no mint mark. Pretty crazy, right? Well, grab your magnifying glass and settle in because I'm about to break it down for you. But before we get into the nitty-gritty of this incredible find, let me tell you a little story about my own coin hunting days. One that you might find a little relatable. So, a few years ago, I was hanging out with some friends when someone pulled out a big OL jar of coins, like the kind we all throw loose change into when we're too lazy to take it to the bank. They were all, "Hey, look at this cool old quarter I found." And I was like, "Cool, but I bet there's something even better in there." I started flipping through coins, and guess what? I found a 2001 penny. But wait, this wasn't just any penny. It had no mint mark. Now, at the time, I didn't know a thing about rare coins. I probably tossed it back in the jar thinking it was just some regular old pocket change. Talk about a missed opportunity, right? Fast forward a couple of years, and I learned that that penny could have been worth a small fortune. You see, there's something special about certain coins, like this 2001 Lincoln penny, and when you stumble upon one, it can be like winning the lottery. So, let's talk about why that little penny could be worth $1.8 million. Yes, I'm serious. Most pennies from 2001 were minted in Philadelphia, which means they have the familiar P mint mark on them. But, and this is where it gets interesting, there's a very rare error where some 2001 pennies were produced without any mint mark. These no mint mark pennies were a mistake during the production process, and there were only a handful of them made. A tiny mistake that turned into a giant treasure. If you happen to find one of these no mint mark pennies, you're sitting on something worth big money. It's believed that there are only a few known examples left, and their value is skyrocketing. People are paying crazy amounts for them, with prices currently hovering around $1.8 million for one in excellent condition. Now, you might be wondering, how can I tell if my penny is the one worth millions? Well, I'm glad you asked, my friend. Here's what you need to look out for. It's gotta be from 2001. Sorry, no time machines here. This is key. A penny from 2001 without a mint mark is the holy grail. If it's from the Philadelphia Mint, there should be a P there. No P means you might have a winner. Like with most rare coins, the better the condition, the higher the value. A penny that's shiny and practically new is going to be worth way more than one that's been in your pocket for years with a bunch of wear and tear. While these coins are worth a lot of money, they're super rare. So, don't expect to find one just by sifting through your spare change. If you do, congratulations, you're basically holding on to a gold mine. Oh, and I have to mention this. If you find one of these rare pennies, don't just take it to a local coin dealer and ask them how much it's worth. Chances are, they'll try to lowball you. You'll want to get it professionally graded by a trusted service, like the Professional Coin Grading Service, PCGS, to make sure you're getting the value it deserves. So, let me wrap this up with a little advice. If you're serious about coin collecting or just want to find hidden treasures in your spare change, always keep an eye out for those small details. That 2001 penny with no mint mark could be the key to turning a handful of change into a fortune. Now, I know you're probably going to run to your jar of coins and start searching for that elusive 2001 penny. Who can blame you? But remember, it's all about patience and keeping your eyes open for those rare finds. And hey, even if you don't find the $1 million penny, there are plenty of other valuable coins out there waiting to be discovered. So, if you enjoyed this coin treasure hunt and want more tips on what coins are worth money, strategies for collecting, or how to spot a rare find, make sure to hit that subscribe button. Trust me, you won't want to miss out on what's coming next. Hey, this could be worth something. I know I have. In fact, I once found a quarter in my couch cushions that made me feel like I had just unearthed buried treasure, until I realized it was only worth 25 cents. But imagine if it was worth $1.7 million? Yeah, you heard that right. $1.70 million. Sounds too good to be true, right? But hold on, because there's actually a coin that could be worth that much. Buckle up, because today, we're talking about the 1994 no-mint mark Abraham Lincoln penny, a coin so rare, it could make you a small fortune. And the best part? It could be sitting in your collection right now, just waiting to make you rich. Stick around, because in the next 10 minutes, I'm going to tell you everything you need to know about this elusive little penny. What makes it so special, why it's worth a mind-blowing $1.7 million, and how you can spot one if you're lucky enough. Trust me, you won't want to miss this. Alright, let's break this down, because, honestly, this coin is more fascinating than my Aunt Carol's cookie recipe. The 1994 no-mint mark Lincoln penny is one of those coins that leaves even the most experienced collectors scratching their heads. So let's start with the basics. If you're familiar with U.S. coins, you probably know that every year, pennies are stamped with a mint mark, usually either a D for Denver or an S for San Francisco. But in 1994, a few pennies slipped through the cracks without a mint mark at all. Now, normally, that wouldn't be a huge deal. A missing mint mark? No biggie. But here's where things get interesting. This particular error was so rare and unexpected that it caused a huge stir in the numismatic world. Experts believe only a small handful of these 1994 no-mint mark pennies were ever made. And when they hit the market, they sent shockwaves through the coin community. Now, you're probably wondering, what makes these pennies worth so much? Well, folks, the value comes from scarcity. As in, there are so few of them that collectors would pay just about anything to get their hands on one. Think of it like finding a needle in a haystack, but that needle is solid gold, and it's made of copper. The rarity makes it highly desirable, and when an auction for one of these coins went down, it fetched a whopping $1.7 million. Yep, $1.70 million. To put that in perspective, the average penny is worth, well, 1 cent. But not this one. This particular penny is like the unicorn of the coin world. If you've ever dreamed of striking it rich without winning the lottery, this is your chance, albeit a very rare chance. Now, you might be thinking, I've got pennies. I've got tons of them. How do I know if I've got one of these elusive, mintless masterpieces? Well, here's the thing. You need to check for a couple of key details. First off, make sure it's a 1994 penny. Then, take a look at the obverse, the head side of the coin. Look carefully at the area where the mint mark is supposed to be. No D or S? Bingo! You've got yourself a contender. But remember, this is a rare coin, so it's not like you'll find it just sitting in your piggy bank. Even if you think you've found a 1994 no mint mark penny, there's still a chance it could be a counterfeit. Sadly, in the world of rare coins, scams are everywhere. So, to make sure you're not about to sell your childhood piggy bank for 10 cents instead of $1 million, get it authenticated by a professional. I know, you're probably saying, but where do I even look for these things? Well, the easiest way is to keep your eyes peeled while going through your change. And trust me, I've been there. I've scoured through piles of coins, hoping for that jackpot, only to find more pennies. But hey, it's all about patience, right? Let me tell you a funny story. Back when I first got into coin collecting, I thought I had struck gold. I was at a yard sale, the kind where people are selling their childhood junk, and I found what looked like an old penny in a jar. My heart raced. I thought it was a rare 1943 copper penny. I immediately imagined myself buying a house with the proceeds. Fast forward to my excitement as I took it to an expert, and it turned out to be just an old, slightly corroded 1980s penny. Talk about a letdown. But the thrill of the hunt is half the fun, right? So, if you've got a 1994 penny with no mint mark, don't toss it aside. That little coin could be worth way more than you think. Possibly even $1.7 million if you've got the real deal. But remember, even though it's tempting to dive into your coin jar and start searching for treasure, make sure you know what you're looking for. Authenticate your coins, check your change, and most importantly, don't give up. Who knows? The next penny you find could be your ticket to the Coin Collectors Hall of Fame. Alright, if you enjoyed this video and want more tips on coins worth money, strategies for collecting, and all things numismatic, don't forget to hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications. I'll keep you in the loop on everything that could make you the next big coin collector success story. We're talking about a coin that could make you a fortune. I'm talking about the 2016 Abraham Lincoln penny with no mint mark. Yeah, that little penny you probably never gave a second glance could actually be worth a jaw-dropping $1.6 million. Sounds too good to be true, right? Stick with me, because by the end of this video, you'll know how to spot one and what makes it so valuable. Now, before you start digging through your loose change, let's get something straight. Not every 2016 penny is worth $1 million. In fact, 99.99% of them are worth exactly 1 cent. But here's where it gets interesting. In 2016, a very small number of these pennies were made without a mint mark. That's right, most pennies you find will have a D or P mint mark on the reverse side. But this one has nothing. It's like the penny was born with a secret, sort of like a coin version of the Da Vinci Code. Now, how do we know these pennies are worth so much? Well, in 2016, the U.S. Mint produced most pennies in Philadelphia, the P mint mark, and Denver, the D mint mark. But for some reason, call it an error, call it a mystery, some pennies were stamped without any mint mark at all. Turns out, these pennies are rarer than a unicorn at a coin convention, and collectors went crazy for them. So, if you ever come across a 2016 penny without a mint mark, don't just toss it in the jar with all the other loose change. Hold on to it. The fact that it's so rare means people are willing to pay big bucks for it. In fact, one of these rare pennies sold for a mind-blowing $1.6 million at auction. But you're probably thinking, sure, that happened once, but how can I cash in on this too? Well, my friends, the coin market is always changing, and just because that one penny made history doesn't mean the next one will. However, it's worth knowing that if you spot one of these, you might not be holding $1 million coin, but it could still fetch you a pretty penny, or maybe a couple $1,000. Let me tell you a story to put things into perspective. A few years ago, I was going through my own coin collection, just like you might be doing right now, and I stumbled upon this old, worn-out penny. I thought it was just some random 1980s penny, totally nothing special. But when I went to sell it, turns out it was a rare variety from 1984. Long story short, I ended up getting way more for that penny than I ever expected. I didn't make $1 million, but it was definitely enough to cover a nice dinner and a night out. So trust me, when you find something rare, especially like a no mint mark penny, it's worth doing a little research before you let it slip through your fingers. Alright, here's the bottom line. If you find a 2016 penny with no mint mark, you've got a potential gold mine on your hands. Even if it's not worth $1 million, it could still be worth a lot more than you think. Coin collecting can be a fun hobby, and it's amazing how a little knowledge can turn a simple penny into a small fortune. So, if you want to stay ahead of the game and learn more about coins that could be worth big money, make sure you hit that subscribe button and ring the bell. We've got plenty of tips, tricks, and stories coming your way. You never know. Your next coin could be worth way more than you ever imagined. Thanks for watching, and remember, keep your eyes peeled for those hidden gems in your change jar.